Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to League Racing TV here for round number 6 of the Academy tier as we take in the fantastic Austrian Grand Prix. My name is, of course, Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action as always on a Wednesday evening, and joining me in the commentary box for the first time ever, it is Lesty the Twig. How are you doing, Lesty?
Hi, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me down in the Academy tier. It's going to be good to see how these guys fare on this Austrian fast-paced track. I'm eager to get into this and get my teeth involved. And it'll be a good warm-up for F2 afterwards. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's called Academy tier, of course, is a nice little inkling of what could happen in F2. Of course, looking at the driver lineup here for tonight, of course, for IRT, we have Folly and Jet in the Red Bull Racing team, and of course, Frank in the Williams. For ET8, we have Lifeboat and Hario. And of course, they're in the Mercedes, and of course, Chris in the Williams. WOR, they have Thomas and Jimmy here tonight. Unfortunately, no Austian in the second of the Alfa Romeos. Unfortunately, his pedals have broken, so he's unable to race here tonight. So that's a big blow for WOR, being down a driver here tonight. RCR are going to be racing with Aladini and Triple, but also they're going to have Loke replacing Lab in the Ferrari. So it is Loke and Aladini in the Ferraris, not Lab. And of course, the Neverlast Racing team, we have Miguel in the McLaren, and of course Liam and Ollie Olf in the Aston Martins. Now, obviously, looking at that lineup, Steve, definitely looks a decent lineup from a lot of drivers out there.
Yeah, it looks like a strong lineup. There's a fair few people, actually pretty much most of the grid I've heard or watched race before. So it looks to be quite a good contest on paper. Whether it will be on track, we'll wait to see. But I'm intrigued to see the likes of ET8 Chris, Olaf, Liam, Jet, Thomas, Frank, Jimmy, Tipple as well. I remember Tipple from when RCR were in F2 before they got their promotion up into F1. So yeah, a lot of decent names here, and it should be a tight one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, before we jump into the action, let's also look at the standings as they currently stand. It is ET8 Academy that lead the way on 296 points. They got 3 wins, 9 podiums to their name as a team. An absolute fantastic season so far from the ET8 Academy lads. They are 75 points clear of WOR Academy, who are in second place on 216. So a big old gap between ET8 and WR early on as we approach the second half of the season.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going pretty strong. I managed to get a bit of a peek last week. I watched along a bit for the 2 weeks ago actually for the Qatar race, and that looked to be a highly contested one with, I believe it was NLR who were quite far up there with ET8. So it looks like a good head-to-head battle between those two.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the team in third place is, of course, NLR Development. They're on 169 points. And right behind them on 150 points is IRT Academy. So we do have a very close battle for third in the standings. Of course, RCR Academy currently down on 48 points. But of course, they joined the season quite late. So they are trying to amount as many points as possible here. And of course, with a full lineup here tonight, as long as they all get to the checkered flag, they're all guaranteed some points in the standings. And of course, GL Academy dropped out early on. But without further ado, I reckon we should jump on into qualifying because we're starting to get the first group of times coming in right now. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the action out on track as we see ET8 Chris putting in a provisional lap time of a 103.7.
Yeah, not a bad start for Chris there. Nice clean up. Seemed to have maybe a bit of traffic going into the last corner, but held it through as we see IRT Frank now beating that time. Only the second time on the board, and we've got a new fastest lap. It's a 103.6.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank setting a fantastic lap time there for the IRT team. And of course, that's going to be an interesting dynamic with Frank and Chris because, of course, they are sharing a pit garage together, but they're in separate teams. So they could really end up doing themselves over in terms of the pit stop strategy, which is why I do enjoy the free drivers in the academy tier because it does bring that extra element. If you are sharing a pit box with a rival team, they could end up costing you time and positions by potentially doing over your pit stop strategy.
Yeah, there's an added bit here with them sharing teams. It definitely adds to the drama. You could definitely make some calls in the cockpit or an engineer call to say, look, this person might be pitting this lap. Let's get in and let's slow them up and help another teammate out. So it's a different dynamic. It's one that I like.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, coming on board with Foley for the IRTP coming through the final corner now. Looks very overcast out there, so I'm wondering if at some point in the session we might see the first droplets of rain because it does look a little bit like it could go that way.
It is looking fairly overcast, and it's no stranger to rain here in league races in Austria. Mostly you see them in real life in the beating sunshine, but it's definitely no stranger to see a bit of rain here. So could add to it, add to the drama, but we'll have to wait and see. It looks like this session of qualifying may stay dry, but you never know come the race as lifeboat for ET8 rounds the last corner, and he will be setting his first time.
P3. Good opening lap from Lifeboat there. Of course, we do have Jimmy on the lap as well, but he, I believe, was on a maybe an installation lap, not so much a flying lap here, as Jet, I believe, has just crossed the line to start his flying lap. So we'll stay on board with him. Just coming through turn 1, DRS wide open as we go up the hill towards turn number 3 as we go through the left-hander turn 2 by here. Now breaking down into turn number 3. Very key overtaking opportunity into turn 3. Good traction on the exit from Jet. DRS wide open once again as we run down in towards turn number 4. Taking a little bit of slipstream from the Mercedes just ahead of him as he breaks down into turn 4 and navigates the corner very well. Now through turns 5, now into the left-hander of turn number 6. Let's see what the middle sector split is saying. It's a 44.6 in the middle sector. Decent from Jet so far as we go through 7 and 8. And now, of course, the penultimate corner, turn 9, where you really have to have maximum commitment, throw the car in. And I think he's just left that a little bit too late, and yep, there it is. A little bit too late in terms of getting the car turned in, and that is all it takes to send your car a little bit out of shape.
Yeah, really, really push him to eke out every little bit of time there, and unfortunate to see that mistake. But it won't be the first time we see that mistake for sure. You really got to push it round here, and especially those last 2 turns, such high speed corners, especially the first of the 2. And that was a shame. It looked like a good lap for Jet, but still plenty of time for him to get a good time and a banker on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, to my knowledge, I believe in terms of a lap time, this is obviously the shortest track in terms of a lap time, to my knowledge, and of course, only 10 corners around here. They might only be so few corners, but they are very tricky corners, and very tricky to get correct as well, as Hario is going to get his lap underway for ET8, and of course he's got his 2 teammates currently in P2 and P3, so ET8 again showing why they are leading the championship with as many points as they currently are.
Yeah, already looking really good for ET8, so they'll be happy with how it's currently gone with the first few runs. Obviously most drivers now back into their pits, putting on a fresh set to go again, but happy days for ET8 so far, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course we got WR Thomas and IRT Frank in the mix as well, and of course Liam and Foley just off the back of it with a 1:04 flat. They're going to need to get an improved lap time on the board. I'm coming on board with Harry Bogan now coming through the final sector, as he looks to not make the same mistake as Jet did earlier, but he does, and he runs too far wide through the penultimate corner, and I think that was the other end of the scale, where he's turned in a bit too early, taking a bit too much of that inside curve, and it's just brushed him out wide.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely dived a bit too early, which has sent him wide, and he's tried to sort of stick out and see if the game's gonna let him get away with that one, but unfortunately not. To be honest, rightly so. But yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. As ET8 Chris now around about 600 up on his sector 1 time as he comes from now sector 2. A lot of traffic in the way that needs to remove themselves out of the way, and fortunately for Chris, they all do so in a cool, calm manner, to say the least. And now in the heart of the middle sector now as we head to turn number 6. The left-hander, very easy to one ride here, and of course now into 7th we're seeing 9 thousandths up on his time as we come through turn number 8, and now into turn 9, the penultimate corner. Chris, maximum commitment through there, keeps it all valid as well for the final corner as well. Absolutely sweet as you like. Chris to the line, and it's a 1:03.5. Big time gain in that final sector.
Yeah, beautiful lap. Pretty much nailed that, Chris. So he'll be very happy to see his Williams up on the top. So it's only a fraction faster than Frank. Only about 4 tenths faster. So definitely not safe so far. With the likes of WR Thomas coming round up to the line, he improves up to a 3rd place provisional position. And Frank, there you go. Didn't take too long for it to be beaten, so he goes from being 4 tenths up to being now 4 tenths down, Chris. So he's got to roll the dice again.
Yeah, from 400s up to 400s down. Chris had a moment of glory up there on provisional pole, but Frank takes that back off him. Thomas there goes up into P3 ahead of Lifeboat, which is of course big for him because they want to get as many cars in between these ET8 drivers as possible, because from what we've seen this season, ET8 work very well as a trio in terms of the teamwork. So it is almost like you need to make sure that they are not together on track, because their teamwork as a trio get them the maximum result possible.
Yeah, indeed, and Lifeboat has just pushed himself up to second, and he's matched Frank's time. It's only that Frank has done that lap earlier than Lifeboat that he now keeps hold of that provisional pole. But yeah, ETA slowly making their way up as Olaf for NLR puts his car into P4. So the times are slowly but surely coming down. There's a little bit of a gap in there now. But yeah, drivers getting more accustomed, daring themselves a bit more going into these fast corners. So just over 5 minutes to go. So still lots of time to go with, like you said, the shortest and quickest lap on the calendar.
Yeah, Jet able to get a lap time on the board, and he jumps straight up into P4. So IRT looking pretty good around here, as you got Frank currently on provisional pole, Jet in P4, and Foley in P7. So it's definitely looking like IRT very much enjoy this circuit here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know whether maybe they're sharing setups, or all got the same sort of setups on, but they're looking extra spicy. The three of them at the moment looking very good. So others are gonna have to react to that. Your WORs ain't looking too great at the moment. Obviously, only the two cars for them being Thomas and Jimmy, but they're slowly dropping. Thomas in a respectable P6 still, as Jimmy's also in a respectable P10. But work to be done for them. Also, the RCR guys as well. Not yet really seeing them push towards the front end of the field. So plenty more to come, and people need to reply to the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the first man is going to be replying to the competition is going to be Hario for ET8 coming up to turn number 1. Breaking down hard, making sure that he gets the car turned in, not running too wide on that exit curve and not taking too much of the inside curve, keeping it all nice, cool, calm, collected as we climb up the hill now towards the break-in of turn number 3, using as much of the track as possible on the run-in to really open up turn 3, and of course good traction on the exit. DRS wide open as we head down in towards turn number 4 for Hario. Braking once again around the 100-meter board, and of course third gear, the gear of choice, once again trying to not drift too far wide onto that exit curve in towards turn number 6 now. A little bit late on the turn in for Hario, but it could still work out for him, as he is up in the middle sector marginally, but coming through turns 8 now, keeping it very tight through that corner, and of course now into turn 9, needs a perfect run through these final 2 corners to find the time, and that is about as nice as you can get that final corner. And across the line, Hario, he does improve his time but not his position. So I mean, the final corner looked very good to cut the perfect amount of corner, but it just wasn't enough to get him up any extra positions.
Yeah, it's a solid effort from Hario. The last 2 corners, like I said, yeah, looked to be perfect. I don't know what more he could have done there. It's probably elsewhere on the track that he needed to improve, but that may be his last run. Still could be time for another go, but Liam will be the next man to try and improve on his time.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam getting a little bit of a toe off the Red Bull of not sure whether that was Foley or Jet, as in the first sector he is marginally up in the first sector as we head through turn 3, and of course DRS wide open on the run down in towards turn number 4. Liam, of course, a driver that has usually gone pretty well in terms of the races. Qualifying has been a little bit up and down for him this season, so if Liam can string together a good qualifying session, I have full confidence that he'll be up there in terms of the race, because he generally goes well in the race. And look at that, still up on his middle sector time, but it's only marginal. But will it be enough in the final sectors? He has a bit of traffic up ahead, and that has unsettled him, and he couldn't take the line that he wanted. And yep, there we go. There's the invalidation. I think Liam completely outsighted there by Hario in the final sector.
Yeah, Hario sitting there really. It's hard to say if it was a block or not, to be honest, but it definitely unsettled Liam. And unfortunately, that's an invalidation for him. Not sure if he's going to have time to go again. But Thomas has improved. He's gone up to P4. I believe that's a couple of positions for him, as most of the guys are now running for their final laps. As Frank, who's currently provisional pole, it's very, very tight on his current time. Coming up to the line, he does improve. Wow, so he's set the bar very high.
That is big improvements in the final sector from Frank there. Chris and Lifeboat, obviously on the cooldown lap. Thomas, who's just completed his lap. I believe we got Jet about to start his lap, so we'll come back on board with him a little bit later. Ollie just coming through the first sector, and of course he is marginally down in the first sector. Needs to get himself up the order, as we got support from Sieb in the chat as I turn my attention away from the screen for 1 second, and Ollie gets onto the exit curb through turn 4 and is out of qualifying as Folly gets his lap underway. Miguel also out there, I believe, just completed his lap. Hario dropping down into P9. Liam into the pits, done for his session. We've got Jimmy 2 times up in the middle sector, but I believe we have a Williams up ahead, and that is Frank coming into the pit, so back on board with Jimmy. Jimmy for the penultimate corner now. Can the WR driver get himself well inside the top 10 as he comes through the final corner? DRS wide open, Jimmy to the line, and it's P11 for Jimmy.
Yeah, it's not enough to get him into that top 10, as Jet is going to be the next driver coming up to the line. There's a few here coming in pretty quick, so we're trying to catch them. Jet coming to the line up to P3 for the IRT man. Lifeboat coming up to the line.
Snagged pole position. And Chris remains P4. Folly unfortunately validates his lap, and I'm not sure if he validated when we went on board with him, but he was wide coming through the penultimate corner, and that brings an end to qualifying. ET8 Lifeboat snags pole position right at the end on the last attempt, and is by almost a tenth of a second.
Yeah, quality when it mattered, just produced, so hats off to Lifeboat, deserved it. Frank and Chris were up there most of the time, but when it matters, that's all that matters. So Lifeboat does take pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because there's a bit of a gap. Obviously, you've got Lifeboat and Chris in first and fourth, but they are separated by 2 IRT drivers. And then, of course, you have Ario that's down to the tail end of the top 10. So they are a little bit spread out, which is, of course, what the grid needs. They do not want these 3 drivers to be working together. But we'll run you through the order one more time. It's, of course, ET8 Lifeboat who takes pole position for the ET8 Academy team. And joining them on the front row is IRT's Academy's Frank. And right behind him on the second row we have IRT Jet, and of course ET8 Chris. WR Thomas in P5 with NLR, Ollie Ulf in P6, Folly for IRT in P7, Miguel in P8 for NLR, Hario for ET8 in P9, and of course NLR Liam going to be rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10 we of course have WR Jimmy in 11th, and of course the trio of the RCR drivers, Aladini, Triple, and of course Loke, who did not set a lap time there at the back. And of course, after what's called qualifying, that obviously it is a very interesting dynamic, because we've got the IRT boys now in the mix, and it's 2v2 at the start between Frank, Jet, and of course Chris and Lifeboat. And how do we see that battle beginning to formulate?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's any early moves, but the 2v2 at the front could make for some teamwork, some holding up play, even some oh no, I think they are in both separate teams, so that we won't see any sort of strategic pits to hold anyone up, I don't think, in that top 4. But yeah, that's really set us up for an exciting little starting storyline to this Austrian Grand Prix.
I mean, you say that. I believe that in terms of the lineups, Chris and Frank are in the same car, so they're both in the Williams. So that is a strategic little battle as well in that mist. And of course, Lifeboat, of course, in the Mercedes, and of course, Jet is in the Red Bull. So there shouldn't be any issues with the pit stops for them. But of course, with Chris and Frank. They are sharing a pit box. They are sharing a garage. And it's going to be incredibly interesting to see who's going to jump the gun first and if one of them does get held up in the pits.
Yeah, that's completely my bad. I completely read that wrong on my sheet here, but no, yeah, that'll be really interesting to see if that's going to be something that's going to have an impact on the result of this race or even certain battles. So no, I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing what others can do as well from further down. RCR obviously didn't have the qualifying that they would want, but here we go.
Yep, here we go to those 5 red lights. Lights out, and we are underway. 36 laps away in these 14 drivers. It looks like a very good start from Jet. Immediately gets himself ahead of Frank, as you got Thomas side by side with Chris getting through us. Ollie Olf, Miguel, and Jimmy there scrapping out in the back for P6 and 7. And as we funnel up in towards turn number 3, look, it's now down the inside as Liam tries it on Jimmy, tries to get himself up the order, but not quite working out for him, and Aladini gets through up in the P8 for RCR.
Yeah, it looks a bit of a manic one at the back as Jimmy's having to defend or even go around the outside of Aladini. Aladini defends Jimmy, and now Jimmy's on the back foot with Liam having to have a look at the back of the Haas, although Aladini ahead of Jimmy has gone very wide, missed the apex, so these three are very tight and there's already a gap building between Aladini and Miguel. But yeah, IRT boys having a bit of a swap around, but that's it from the front of the field so far.
Yeah, of course, we saw Thomas getting through on Chris momentarily, so Thomas trying to get himself up ahead of the ETA driver of Chris, so it'll be interesting to see if he can do so. But yeah, a big old scrap going on in the midfield with Aladini, Jimmy and Liam, as we've got Jimmy now using a bit of VRS, trying to go for the inside line, just about going to find the space there as he goes down the inside. Is this going to be job done for Jimmy? Good traction on the exit, and oh, they are side by side. They are side by side on the exit. They're going to be wheel to wheel coming in towards turn number 4. It's going to be about who's going to be more brave on the brakes, as it looks like Jimmy with that inside line will hold that position. Now Liam next month try and get through, but look how much time they're battling has already lost themselves to the top 7. And I mean, you know this, I know this, everyone watching at home will know this. The importance of staying within DRS around this track is biblical.
It is massive. You've got to pick and choose your battles here, because these early stages could be really race defining if you're finding yourselves out of the DRS zone, as Jimmy's actually starting to pull it back. So he could be lucky. Oh, he actually gets a snap. He gets a 3-second time penalty already for multiple warnings. That's not going to help, and he's allowed Aladini to come back into it. So Jimmy's back where he started, and he's going to have to do it all over again.
Liam had a little look down the inside there. I just caught the end of that. Liam had a little peek, didn't go for the move though, which is smart from Liam, because you don't really want to risk it like that. Of course, Hario also having a little peek on Liam now. In fact, he's actually got a better exit coming out of turn 4. Hario, fantastic traction out of turn 4, gets the move done on Liam. Up into P10 goes the ET8 Academy driver.
Yeah, very good, very good. He had a little look and put Liam off a bit, and that's sometimes all you need to do, and he's taken full advantage and he's moved himself up into 10th place. But yeah, the gap is building again between 7th and 8th. The rest of the field is 2+ seconds now.
Yeah, and unfortunately for everyone outside of the top 7, that gap is only going to continue to grow, as it looks like Jet makes a mistake coming out of turn 1. That's allowed Frank to get through, that's allowed Chris to get through, and Jet goes from P2 down to P4.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of a wobble coming out of turn 1, and he's allowed Chris through. So we've got a bit of a mix-up now. The RT boys can't protect each other. They're going to have to go at the ET8s, while Frank is going to have to look behind him, as Hario and Jimmy are having a good old battle, as Hario continues to move up the field. He's ahead of Jimmy and Foley.
Yeah, Foley and Liam were side by side as well in behind. It was 2 by 2 like Noah's Ark, and Aladini absolutely getting swamped in that phase of the battling, but and goes from, I believe he was up in P8. I think he did get ahead of Jimmy momentarily, but he drops all the way down to P12. And honestly, I think for Aladini now, it's all about holding on to this DRS right here, because he cannot afford to drop away, because we saw the pace of Aladini versus the likes of Miguel and everyone in the first stint. Once he was able to hold on to that position, didn't look like he had the pace to catch up to Miguel, but he needs to hold on to DRS to make sure he can maximize the points for RCR here tonight, as Foley and Harry over there trading positions as well. As looks like Foley on the set and the mediums. Of course, the only driver on the set and the mediums. That's another thing to bring up, as well as Aladini sends one down the inside. Fantastic lunge from Aladini. Gets himself back up in the P10. And honestly, if you're Jimmy right now, you kind of want this, but Jimmy makes a big mistake, and that's going to allow Hario to get straight back on him. Jimmy with a huge mistake in turn 6.
Yeah, Jimmy keeps getting ahead of the guys around him, but keeps bringing out mistakes for himself, self-inflicted mistakes, that is, and he's allowing the others to catch right back up, and he's just stuck in. He's burnt all of his batteries, and now he's going to be coming under pressure from Hario as the rest of the top 7 now look towards turn 3, as Frank is eyeing up Lifebout, but no moves as of yet at the front.
Yep, at the front is staying nice, cool, calm, collected between the likes of Lifeboat, Frank, Chris, Thomas and Jet, and of course Olio from Miguel. This is where all the battling seems to be happening. Is you've got Ariel getting through on Jimmy. Was that before the safety car was deployed? As yeah, I think it possibly was, as Loke is out of the session, and that looked to be at the top of turn 3 on tractions. I think Loke a little bit too greedy on the throttle, and that is an end to his race.
Yeah, it's a common one you see out of turn 3. People trying to get on the throttle as early as they can to get the best exit, and it just turns you in towards that wall. And if you go in with too much of an impact, that will be the end of your race. And in fact, that is the end of RCR Loic's race, unfortunately. So we're down to the 13, and we see pretty much everyone box apart from Chris, Thomas and Miguel. Everyone has come in. Everyone's going to be putting on mediums apart from Foley, who's going on to the hard tyre.
Yep, absolutely. Everyone going to opt for the set and the medium tyres right now. And of course, Chris making the decision not to double stack with Frank. Because remember, he was behind Frank coming into the pit. So right there, we saw a little bit of the team the team battle in terms of the pit stops, and play a factor there. Because I think Chris wanted to come in, but did not want to lose the track position by having to double stack with Frank.
Yeah, sometimes it's a hard one, isn't it? Really, under safety car, this decision you just sort of have to make and just stick with it. So he's stuck with the hards, and it might pay off for him instead of losing that time to Frank. But these 3 at the front, although the hards are still in a good state, they're only 6 laps old at the moment. Obviously, when we go racing again, they'll be about 8 laps old. But the medium guys behind the top 3 of Chris, Thomas and Miguel will be coming fast. The likes of Lifeboat, Frank, Jet, Olaf, who we've seen in that top 7 battle so far. So it will be looking over his shoulder as Foley returns to the pit. Not sure if you witnessed that, but
No.
he gave the pit wall a couple 2 hits, turned deliberately into the pit wall twice. Not sure why he would do that.
I think I know why. I think he's got himself some light damage on the exit of the pit lane when he left, and he obviously wanted the damage a bit more to force the pit crew to change it. Because you know where it's like when you come into the pits, the pit crew is like, "Oh, is that a slightly yellow wing? Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine, mate. Carry on." It's okay, you're only losing half a second, but that was fine.
The most aggravating thing in league racing, I think. But no, that's smart from Foley. That is actually thinking on your feet or on your wheels.
That is indeed, and I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat also knows that feeling as well when you get a little bit of damage and the pit crew refuse to change it, even though you have it on yes to change your wing. As the safety car is coming in this lap, and Chris will back up the pack. He does have lifeboat, obviously the lead medium runner, and that is crucial because Chris could play the team factor here and back up the rest of the medium runners to give lifeboat the gap that he needs.
Yeah, he definitely could. It's going to be an interesting one of when Chris is going to go. I would personally go quite late here, but what will Chris do?
He's gone out the final corner. And look at that lifeboat already on the back of Miguel and trying to put the pressure on.
Yeah, Miguel's going to have a task here with being that last man on the hards of the three in front. But without the DRS, he should be able to cope using a bit of battery. Is he going to look for a move? He's actually eyeing up Thomas a little bit, looking for the outside of turn 3. That's not going to happen there. And they stay as they are, as there's a bit of movement further behind.
Yeah, it looks like Aladini and Jimmy are battling out for P9 and 10s. We'll have a quick peek at that as Miguel does get through on Thomas, but most likely down the inside in towards turn number 4, as it looks like Lifeboat now around the outside of turn 6, and looks like job done for Lifeboat. Now he has a car in between himself and Frank, and obviously Lifeboat actually making the move on Miguel as well. Fantastic traction from Lifeboat, and that is exactly what ET8 need, because now Lifeboat will just get himself ahead of Chris and most likely just tow him along.
Yeah, this is absolutely perfect. Miguel obviously got a bit of a bad run. Lifeboat got an amazing run out of that turn, and now they can swap positions, and Chris can just stay with Lifeboat in his DRS and then just hold up the oncoming Frank, Olaf and Jet once they get past the hard runners, as Frank starts to make his moves now.
Yep, that move was 100% needed from Frank as Hario gets through on Jet. That could be big as well. Another ETA driver getting themselves ahead of an IRT driver, as look at this now. Ollie off down the inside of Thomas, up in the P5 goes the NR driver. Hario all over the back of him as we saw the switch up front between Lifeboat and Chris. As Hario down the inside of Thomas. Meanwhile, in behind you see Jimmy and Jet side by side in the background, as well as it looks like Hario does get that move done. Jet into the gravel trap, and that is not good for his tyres. And IRT, after the safety car, unfortunately it's all gone wrong for him.
Yeah, it's not the restart that they would have wanted, apart from RC Frank, who's now made his way through the hard runners. But as you can see at the start, at the head of the race, Chris and Lifeboat have made that expected swap, and Chris's job now is to make Frank's life a living hell while he's on those mediums to allow Lifeboat to get away. But that's not going to help as Chris gets a bad exit, and there's a bit of contact as well. So Frank's got an opportunity here now, an open window to make the move, but he's going to hold it. Or is he? He's looking for the switchback on the inside. They're now side by side. Is Frank going to hold out, or is he going to concede? He's going to concede or try the switchback again. It's and it's contact!
Contact between the pair of them. Chris and Frank collide with each other on the exit of turn number 6. And of course, Chris goes down to the back of the pack. Frank falls down the order. And now Lifeboat has a 1.4 second gap. Oliov currently in P2, but he has Hario, the ET8 Academy driver, in P3, right on the back of him, as Miguel is on 11 lap old hard tyres and a little bit out of sync with the rest of the grid, as it looks like Frank is into the pits, possibly to change it, the front wing, and maybe get back onto a set of hard tyres to go to the end of the race.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. It was good racing until that point, and unfortunately that's really taken Frank and Chris out of this. Chris isn't too far behind, as we see Jet making a move on Tiffle just ahead. But it's gone from ET8 versus IRT to now ET8 versus NLR. Actually, as I say that, Jimmy has just got past Miguel. So looking good for ET8 so far. The rest of the field is all mixed about, but currently a win and a podium, but still 2/3 of this race to go.
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to these races, and like ET8, they work together so well in terms of the team dynamic. They back each other up, and they give each other every little piece of help that they can give. And it does end up evidently with two members of the ET8 Academy team usually winding themselves up on the podium. And right now, obviously, you got Hario looking to get the move done on Olio up into P2. But look at that, down the inside it goes Jimmy, 3 wide. As in behind, we also got another 3 wide moment as Liam, Aladini and Miguel 3 wide in behind as well, going into turn 3. Miguel losing out there. Aladini now down the inside, uses DRS and a bit of battery just to get through on Liam as Ollie and Hario, a little bit of contact there on the exit of turn 4, and Hario holds on to P3, and Jimmy able to get that double overtake. He's now up into P2.
Yeah, good restart from Jimmy, actually. He seems to be flying. He now has a 2.5 gap to bridge to Lifeboat, though, so Lifeboat is living in dreamland at the moment, as the rest all scuffle for position. Everyone else, apart from the 2 at the back that had the contact earlier, still within a second and battling like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. As we got Folly all over the back of Miguel here for P7, and it looks like it's going to be a relatively easy move for Folly. Gets that job done. Having the P7 goes the IRT driver as Jet tries to close up as well. Little bit of contact between Miguel and Folly, but Jet able to avoid careering into the back of Miguel, but he is just going to breeze past with DRS and battery as well. Down the inside into turn 4, and it should be a job done for Jet, and it is. And Miguel, a little bit of squeeze to the outside there from Jet on Miguel, and Miguel picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, not a good penalty to be picking up. They really don't want to be getting penalties here, because look how tight the field is. It's going to cost you a lot come the end of the race. But the IRT boys, as I say that, Olaf joins the other 2, and we have a hat-trick of penalty driving now. But the IRT boys are Foley and Jet doing well, as we see Aladini and Olaf trading places going into turn 1. And Aladini will get the second run of the DRS to help him defend that move.
Here comes
Liam and Olaf swap positions, and Liam's going to go for the outside while Olaf watches his teammate on. There's another double ahead of Jimmy and Hario, so it's all going on here in the top 5, as I think Aladini has come out on top there in that one. Jimmy is going to have to sit put behind Hario.
Yeah, absolutely. As Olio obviously not getting the best of runs at the final couple of corners, allowed Aladini to go down the inside into turn 1, as that is a McLaren in the wall, and that is Miguel. Miguel in the wall, and I think that could be wing damage for the McLaren. As I'm waiting for a good angle on the car here from the helicopter cam, and visually I can't see any damage, but you never know, and it could be very light damage.
Yeah, I have to say, actually, it's a great camera, but it's hard to see. There we go, that's a better camera. We can't see any damage on his car, so hopefully we can just get back going.
Olio makes a mistake, and that allows Folly to fall through, as we see Jimmy getting through and Hario up ahead as well. So Jimmy now into P2 in this race, as Folly splits the 2 NLR drivers. It's now checkerboard from 5th down to 8th. NLR, IRT, NLR, IRT.
Yeah, the battle for the 3rd in the standings as Jet goes for the move on Ollie Olaf. And the IRT boys are on a bit of a run, the two in the Red Bulls at the moment. They're really pushing themselves through the field. And at the moment, NLR would be a little bit nervous, a little bit shaky.
Yeah, I mean, effectively with Miguel, obviously he's on those very worn tyres of the hard tyres. So he's been on since the start of this race, and that spin has definitely, not helped him. But of course, for IRT, the contact between Chris and Frank early on as well has effectively taken him out of the race. So unless the safety car comes out, I don't see either of them really getting themselves back into good top 10 finishing positions by the end of this race. But as it stands, we do have Foley and Jet versus Oliof and Liam here, and that is a tasty scrap between these two teams because, as you mentioned, they are very close with each other in terms of the team championships, and it is the battle for third.
Yeah, it's gonna kick, well, not necessarily kick off, but they're gonna be no love lost between these two teams. It's gonna be hard defending, hard attacking from all of them. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But for one nearly full lap here, as we're coming up to the third sector, we've not seen a move this lap, which has been rare so far in this race. As the top three stay as they are, and Lifeboat now possesses a 3.5 second gap, so he is cruising.
Jimmy bailing out. Yeah, Jimmy bailing out 10 laps on the mediums. He doesn't want to do any more. And will this be a set of the hards? Will he revert back to the hards, or will it be a second set of mediums here? And it's a second set of mediums.
Well, interesting. So both WR drivers coming in for a new set of mediums, maybe looking for the undercut to jump ahead of some of their rivals. As here we go, RT versus NLR's kicking off again, as Olaf has made the move into turn 3 up the inside of Jet. So that will give Jet the DRS, but Olaf somehow keeps hold of it as well. So Olaf is keeping hold of that position as Irio and Aladini trade places. It's now a 1-2 for ET8.
ET8 doing absolutely fantastic. Lifeboat is in he's in the world of his own at the moment, and of course Hario doing such a good job in terms of holding on to that P2. But of course with Jimmy in the pit lane, he has to respond, and he is responding. He's into the pits now. So Hario into the pits. Aladini picks up a 3-second time penalty, drifting too far wide through the penultimate corner, and now we're going to see how good the undercut was. As it looks like Miguel's around. Is that going to trigger any form of safety car, virtual safety car? No, it's not. As Miguel...
he's beached. He's beached.
Yeah, he's beached. Ladies and gentlemen, he is beached. So that's a reset because he is beached. So I normally obviously resets the tracks. We don't like that, but in that situation, I don't think there's much more you can do about it.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what other teams say about that after the race. But for now, he carries on. But the fight for P2 is heating up as Aladini has lost out to Liam, and Foley's also in this battle here, as they are battling for the podium places at the moment on track.
Yeah, and just a quick update on the undercut situation that we saw with Jimmy and Hario as Liam peels off into the pit lane as well. Jimmy has a 1.4 second gap to Hario, so that's how good the undercut was. It's just worth quite a bit around this circuit, as we do have Maze in the chat saying that's all good, referring to, of course, the reset the track. Obviously, we did catch it on stream, which is obviously a fantastic thing as well, to show that he was beached. And yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, as Frank picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to bring more issues for him late in this race. But yeah, catching that on stream is definitely something that I think that was also needed. As Aladini picks up another 3-second time penalty. He's picking up quite a few in very short succession now.
Yeah, time penalties start to creep in quite a bit here, more than I would have been expected to see. But those with the time penalties, especially Aladini with 2 now, that's really going to cost him come the end of the race, because currently, well, we're a bit offset here. There's half the grid that have done a pit, as Aladini actually will be coming into the pit himself, and Olaf nearly runs into the back of him entering the pit, really trying not to lose a lot of time at all. That was pushing it, but those two coming into the pits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris.
Chris in as well. So it'll be interesting to see where Chris comes out relative to Frank in this race. Of course, Chris and Frank had that incident early on. Frank is obviously going to overtake a 9-lap-old medium tyres on Frank's car. So his tyres are going to be absolutely... they're going to begin to feel the strain right now, I think. And by the end of this race, I think he will have to make another pit stop. But he's hoping that safety car can bring him back into it.
Yeah, safety car really helped him out. Him, Chris, and Miguel really are looking for, as Miguel actually sets the fastest lap. So fair play to him. As we see the leader come in, Lifeboat, with a 5-second gap to Foley, but Foley technically isn't running second. It was Hyrio as we went into the pits. Let's see.
As Jimmy's undercut got him ahead of Lifeboat here as he crosses the start finish line. Javier is doing everything he can to get back within the 1 second window, and it looks like Jimmy has got himself ahead of Lifeboat.
Oh, he has. Very, very good pit from Jimmy. Obviously, looking towards the end of this stint, his tyres might be going off as Olaf has now picked up another time penalty himself. But Jimmy, making that early pit stop, has jumped the 2 ETH, but Hyrio is within the DRS. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to bring everyone's attention to Lifeboat's ERS compared to Javier and Jimmy's right now.
Wow. he was prepared. He was prepared for people to undercut. So he's got a nice full battery. He's going to be going full beam soon. He's not even using it right now. He's not even bothered.
He's quite happy right now. Of course, with the ERS deployment of both of these cars up ahead of him being so depleted, he's just going to catch up naturally in the corners. Not only with the fresher tyres, but also with the more ERS to use as well, which is key for him. As Javier, good run out of turn 1, and this could be P1 for the ETH driver. Get your sneeze. Hang on.
As Mike goes to sneeze, Hyrio does go around the outside and takes a position from Jimmy. Jimmy will need to try and stick with Hyrio here because Lifeboat is teetering on the edge of getting inside that 1 second. As we see further down, Olaf and Jet NLR versus IRT once again happening here on track as well as in the standings, and Olaf gets down the inside and keeps P9. Thomas also making good progress on his mediums. He did the same time as Jimmy, and I think he has jumped a few drivers. And Mike has returned from his sneezing fit, so glad to see you made that through.
Honestly, that was an experience that I wasn't really enjoying. As Foley has come back out on a 6-lap-old medium, so he's going to fall down the order now. Yeah, fortunately, the season fit has gone away now. As Lifeboat gets himself ahead of Jimmy, and that is what the ERS advantage does for Lifeboat here. And Lifeboat's just going to cruise on now to the back of his teammate, and will probably just be a simple overtake for him.
Yeah, looking very, very good for ETA, these two here in the Mercedes car, because Jimmy has got nothing in his battery. Well, just about 10%, but he's using it to try and stay with Lifeboat. But Jimmy might have shot himself in the foot using so much, as Hyrio is taking P1 on track from Tipple, who is actually yet to pit. I don't think I've looked on board Tipple yet. He's pitting, so this is gonna. Oh no, they navigated that quite well, the ETA boys, so that would have cost them a little bit of time. But Jimmy is going to stay within DRS.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jimmy
rain.
Holding on, and
No, I'm blind.
I was going to say I don't see any rain, but that would really spice things up right now. As Lifeboat takes the lead away from Javier.
It is getting dark. There's a chance towards the end. You never know.
Yep, absolutely. And Ario and Lifeboat now, I think, are just going to work together, as we've seen ET8 Academy do so well over the course of the season. They're going to work together and solidify a 1-2 finisher.
Yeah, they'll look to use each other to pull away from Jimmy, and then that should seal it, barring any errors from themselves. But the WR boys going well, 3rd and 4th at the moment, but they do have one of the older sets of mediums on the track at the moment. So Liam, Aladini, Liam's not too far off, but Aladini and Ollie Laff and Jet have a bit more work to do to get up to the WR boys, but still 10 laps to go, so let's see what the guys behind can do.
Okay, lap 26 of 36. I want to get some predictions in the chat right now. Are we going to see any rainfall around this circuit? Looking at the sky right now, very overcast. The track looks a little bit darker out there. And I want to get your guys' predictions. Will we see changeable conditions happen towards the end of this race? And if it does come, will the ETA pairing be able to hold on to their 1-2? Let me know in the chat your predictions, guys.
It might just be the game flirting with us, but it could bring an extra little last bit of drama for us. So let's see, as Liam is actually now right on the back of Thomas. I'm sure he'll just hold for now, get the DRS for the home straight. Probably won't make a move into turn 1. We'll look for the double dose going up towards turn 3 and maybe make a move there, or hold on again and make the move going into turn 4. So as you see, Frank and Chris further down swapping as Frank re-enters the pits. Yeah, but there goes Liam.
Yeah, Liam goes straight through. I think Thomas knows he can't really fight that. And yeah, Liam through up into P4. And it is crucial for these two to work together, I think. But it looks like Thomas is more than content to sit in behind Liam for the time being.
Yeah, I think Thomas should be smart here, just stay with Liam and just secure the top 5 finish, or even try and take 4th towards the end, as Aladini, Jet and Olaf aren't too far behind.
Yeah, Aladini though, with those time penalties, is definitely going to fall down the order, as you got Jet, Oliolf and Foley all in close proximity with each other, as Maze in the chat saying that he thinks it'll be rain. Obviously we've got Lakeman in the chat saying, I bet that Hario will win. I mean, right now Hario currently in P2, Lifeboat, his teammate, currently in the race lead, so I don't think ET8 will mind which one of them wins, as Jet now gets through on Aladini. Up into P6 goes the IRT man, and now he can try and pull away from the RCR driver, who's actually having a very good race. And unfortunately for him, the penalties is going to drop him down the order, but it's been a very good race so far from Aladini.
Yeah, he's been in and amongst it, hasn't he? Always Olaf actually gets a bit of a snap off his rear coming into turn 4. But no, Aladini is he's been in the race. He's been on my screen most of the time, to be honest. He's been bouncing back, forwards and backwards like a yo-yo this race, but relatively doing quite well for himself and the RCR team. It's just a shame about those penalties that are really going to hurt him at the end.
Yeah, and in terms of the penalties right now for Aladini, he does have enough of a gap to Chris right now, so he will fall to 9th, which of course the back of this train that he's currently in. But Chris, we know, has great pace. Chris could knock him down to 10th.
Yeah, definitely. Chris has the capability of doing that. He should be up at the front. Unfortunate incident brought him back to where he is now, but yeah, we know Chris is a top driver, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him bridge that 6-second gap, as I'm seeing a move.
Thomas had a little peek on Liam there, but decided to not go for it into turn 4. It looks like Jimmy, after a couple of laps of really good driving from the WR driver, has lost out on both of the ETA drivers, and now this is where we're going to see the ETA guys just DRS each other into the distance as Jimmy picks up another 3-second time penalty. So now he's going to fall behind Liam and of course Thomas here, potentially even Jet as well.
Yeah, that's big. That's real. Oh, Thomas nearly goes into the back of Liam. God, that was a close one. We've seen a few close shaves from these two going into the pit, and now going up into turn one as Thomas is actually going to look maybe for a move. No, he's going to hold and maybe capitalise on the next DRS zone going into turn four. But Liam does get a good exit out of three with Thomas coming with that DRS. Is he going to make a move? No, he's going to stick and hold for now. But yeah, Jimmy, that's a big penalty for him, out of the DRS now, and he is dropping away from the two ET8 boys who are in La La Land, really.
Well, I'll tell you what we got right now. Jet closing in on Liam and Thomas, obviously on the fresher tyres, but Jet is now entering this fight, and of course he does have DRS in these guys now. And in tow behind Jet we do have Aladini, Olioff and Folly, so this is going to be a big old train coming up here. And Folly makes a big snap, a little bit of a mistake in the final corner, so he's dropped outside the DRS. And now we have to wait and see. I think Jet just outside the DRS for this time around, and yes he is. So he's going to lose out Folly outside the DRS, but now as we see Thomas getting the move done on Liam, up into B4 goes to WR driver, Aladini not going for the move on Jet. And yeah, everyone now going to bunch up in DRS for each other, and look at this, Aladini now. Fantastic run out of turn 3. He's going to look to the inside for turn number 4. Aladini for RCR down the inside, and Jet tries to hang it all the way around the outside, tries to get the traction down on the outside, but unable to do so. And look at Olioff trying to find the space, find the gap. He's boxed in though, is Olioff, and he can't get that move done. Finds himself boxed in there. Olioff unable to get the position done. Liam with a 3-second time penalty.
God, that is massive. These boys fighting, stopping themselves getting involved, but really, really good battling there. And Aladini, even though he's got those 2 penalties, he's fighting for every single second. And Liam, that's big. So Thomas is now looking like the man that's going to be on the podium, as Jet and Aladini just swap places again. Jet not wanting to wait around, and Aladini is going to get, or has Jet actually got the DRS as well? They've all got the DRS, apart from Aladini. Ollie live up the inside. Is he going to go for Jet as well? No, he's going to be sensible. Just take Aladini. But, oh, he's looking a bit squirrely on the rear. I think Aladini's going to come back.
We'll have to wait and see. Aladini, no ERS to his name, but he is doing everything he can to try and put up a fight in this race. Because, of course, while he does have 6 seconds of time penalties, he is obviously, if Olioff picks up a penalty, then that is full position.
Yeah, exactly. You've just got to really apply the pressure to the guys that do have a penalty and try and get them another one, and then you're in the money if you can just get your car ahead before the checkered flag. And Thomas, oh, he's falling away. Tipple gets one as well. So Jet's now in the hot seat for a podium.
I think Jet is outside that 6 seconds of Jimmy, and yeah, at the moment he will jump himself ahead of Thomas and Liam, but I think he is just outside that. Actually, no, I do lie. As Olioff gets through up in the P6, and a big snap at the rear for Olioff, and that's going to allow Jet to come straight back at him, and he'll retake that position. Thank you very much. Olioff will be seeing Jet in the cockpit, but he unfortunately gets through, but makes a huge mistake that allows Jet straight back through. And yeah, right now things are starting to spice up. As you see, Jimmy is falling back to Thomas, so I think Thomas will get a bit of DRS on his teammate here.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit of teamwork here from WR, bringing Jimmy back to help his teammate out against the rest that have penalties also, sacrificing himself for the team. Let's see what happens with that one, but it's spicing up for this. I've got no idea who's going to get this last podium play.
Well, obviously this is definitely going to help Thomas and Liam trying to hold off on Jet in terms of the time penalty as well. So maybe that's the plan. Is Ollie Olf and Aladini closing in on Jet, but look at Aladini tries to hold it around the outside of Ollie Olf, unable to do so. Look at Foley in the mix as well. Foley with no penalties as well. He's going to be gaining quite a bit from this. Jet needs to hope that these guys ahead of him battle so he can jump them more on penalties. But as it currently stands, the WOR teammates, I think, are just going to work together. They're going to try and keep that 3-second gap that they have to Jet to make sure Thomas finishes ahead of him. But Liam right now is in a decent position because all he's got to do is get ahead of Thomas. He needs to pick his opportunity to get ahead of Thomas, and he's looking at a podium here.
Yeah, he is. It's really on the cusp between him and Jet, whether it's going to be him or the IRT driver, Thomas. Obviously, he's still in there as well. We're not going to be able to call it till the end of this race. There's now these four are now bunching, these three, sorry, are bunching up, and Jet is really trying to pull them back in, but he doesn't want to get caught up in any battles as the WR drivers do trade places. Let's see if Jet is going to be getting any aggro from behind him. He's not on this occasion. And Thomas does move himself into third, and Jimmy has now got the job of keeping Liam back and holding him up.
Yeah, Foley has lost out massively. As look at that, Liam sends one on Jimmy into turn number 4. So Liam now up into turn number up into P4 at turn 4. Jet trying everything he can to stay within 3 seconds of Thomas and Liam, as we are about to go on to the final lap of the race. It's going to come down to the wire. Foley lost out massively in this train. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe a bit of an oversteer moment, but he's 1.4 seconds off the back. So he will jump some positions, but won't be as much as what he would have hoped. As Aladini and Ollie Olf really battling out amongst themselves. But I mean, what these two have done in terms of battling each other, they've allowed Jet to try and just about get away, and now we're on the final lap of the race. It is an ET8 1-2 right now, and they've worked incredibly well, as they always do every single week. If the two of them are up there, they generally make sure the two of them stay up there, and that's usually the way it goes. Chris, unfortunately, with the incident with Frank, all the way down in P10 as Thomas and Liam scrapping out there, and Thomas getting squeezed out onto the gravel. Jimmy threw up into P4, but Thomas going to take that back as big snap at the rear there from Jimmy, as we're going to go on board with Lifeboat and Hario as they come across the line. Please keep me updated with what's going on in that battle, as Lifeboat and Hario come through to take a 1-2 finish for ET8. Liam will cross the line in P3, but will he hold it? Miguel picks up a 3-second time penalty at the end of this race. Who's going to get the final spot on the podium? Will it be Jet? Jet does do it! Jet up onto the podium! And Foley does jump up into P6 in the end. Chris up to P7!
Wow, really big moves. The time penalties have really hurt some drivers there, but Jet has done what he needed to do to get the podium. So hats off to him. He broke away from the guys fighting behind him. That's what he needed to do. Well done to him. Of course, well done to the ET8 boys with Lifeboat and Hario on the 1-2.
Yeah, Frank, obviously, frustration putting it into the wall as he crossed the line. Obviously, what could have been for Frank in this race without that incident between himself and Chris, and what could have been for Chris as well in the race, as we have Miguel crossing the line. So, oh my God, I just saw Frank's car do a bunny hop.
Yeah, that's definitely not inbuilt to the car. It should not be doing that. Hopefully it's after the race though.
That was some Tony Hawk Pro Skater stuff right there. That was a kick flip and a half. That was the Ollie of dreams. And that was incredible to see. But it is ET8 with another 1-2 finish, extending their lead in the championship. And it looks almost impossible to catch him at this point. I think the gap now will be close to 100 points, and it's like Red Bull real life at the moment, isn't it? That's what it's like.
It is ET8 doing the real life Red Bull at the moment. They are looking really good, looking really strong. the teamwork's really, really, really effective, and they're making it work. And we'll go through the final standings, of course.
Yeah, we'll go through the final order. Of course, it is Lifeboat who takes victory ahead of Hario. It's an ET8 1-2 finish with Jet for IRT completing the podium. And of course, we got NLR Liam in P4 with Thomas in P5 for WOR. IRT Folly in P6 with ET8 Chris in P7. Jimmy for WR in P8 with Olio in P9. RCR Aladini in P10 with Triple in 11th. Frank in 12th. Miguel in 13th. And RCR Loke, the only man to not see the checker flag here tonight. So 1 DNF, and that is the end of that. And I can't lie, Nesty, that was a very enjoyable race. I can't lie. The midfield battle was absolutely epic. I mean, once ET8 got themselves into a 1-2, it was done. It was done. From obviously what I've seen this season, once ET8 get in them positions, they generally see it through.
Yeah, they've done really well. I even just watching the Qatar race, I could see that they were a strong outfit here in the academy, against the other academy teams. So yeah, really good, looking strong going towards the latter stages of the season. But no, that midfield battle was really fun to watch. Actually, some really good racing. Obviously, some hairy moments here and there where some people got tagged. It happens. It's racing, and then that podium position battle towards the end was really good. I was impressed with Hyro today, going from P9 to P2, and also Liam from P10 to P4. Both had pretty strong races, not too many mistakes from them. So yeah, really fun one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Me saying Academy always a good race, and I absolutely echo that. But of course, that is going to bring an end to the racing here tonight for Academy tier. Of course, we will look at the race for next week as we head to round number 7. Is of course the Dutch Grand Prix as we head to the Zandvoort circuit, and that I think is going to be a spicy one because that is so easy to lose a huge amount of positions because the curbs are lethal around there. But before we head to Zandvoort next week, of course, there is F1 and F2 going to be happening tonight. And of course, Leslie will be taking you through the action in F2 alongside Freefall. So, I mean, Leslie, do you want to give us a little insight in terms of what's going on in F2 at the moment and what to be excited for?
Yeah, in about just over 40 minutes, F2 will be racing here at Austria as well. CPI currently holding a healthy lead to IRT, WR, and Juventus Racing. So, but these three, we're going into the second half of this season. They know the job they need to do. They know the team to beat, and the rest of the field is also very tight. So, yeah, please do join myself and Scott at 8 o'clock in about 40 minutes as we take you around Austria once more, but in F2. You can also watch F1 if you want, but come and join me in F2.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you guys tune into both F1 and F2. Of course, in F1, it will, of course, be James Head and IRT Indigo taking you through the action there in F1. And, of course, in terms of their championship, only 21 points separating the top two teams as F7R Esports currently lead the way, 21 points ahead of Outplayed Racing. So, very close at the top end there, as well as close battles in the midfield, like what it is in F2. Definitely going to be races to keep an eye on, that is for sure. So make sure you guys do tune in to both F1 and F2, which will be starting in around 40 minutes time. But that, of course, brings an end here to Academy tier. We'll be back next week for round number 7 at Zandvoort. But until then, guys, I have been Michael Edwards. He has been Leslie the Twig, and I'll see you next week at Zandvoort. Until then, guys, goodbye.